Christian, you can start. Thank you, everyone. Welcome, Christian.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. It's my pleasure to share some of my experiences with you. When Jin asked me yesterday if I could give a speech about my time in China, it was actually very interesting. I haven't had a lot of time to prepare something, but when I'm going through the time, it's a pretty strong flashback, and I'm remembering more and more things I actually experienced there. What I heard about you, that you all want to go to China, and so taking this part up front, I can definitely say, if you have the chance, do it. That's definitely the recommendation I'm having in the conclusion of my time. So back then I was studying international management in my master's degree, and we had to do one semester abroad. And for me, China was the logical option. Don't want to go too into details, but eventually I ended up going there. And it was an exciting time. And yeah, as this time is in front of you, let me just take you on a journey that I had. And yeah, starting with the landing, right? I came there, it was a rainy day. I went to the airport, and someone in the airplane already told me, get the address where you want to go and get it translated to Chinese. And I said, why? It's perfectly written in English, right? So she said, yeah, but the taxi drivers can't understand anything. And eventually I went to the information center in the airport. It was very early in the morning, I think 4 a.m. or so, and found someone who could translate it, went to the next taxi, and this driver was eventually driving me to the place. As it turned out, my host, I first booked an Airbnb, wasn't there. It was rainy, I was completely tired, and eventually I had to wait for a while. So to give you some background information why I didn't go to another place, why I didn't go to the dormitory, etc. I was traveling quite a lot before already. And my experience is you get a better place when you're at the place. So going to China and trying to find a good place from the country you're from Ukraine right now for you, that can be very tricky because first of all, you don't know where the life is going to happen. So for me, I have never been to Shanghai. I had no clue where the central area is, and I had no clue where the university is. And of course, you can take a look on Google Maps, but Shanghai is so big. So if it looks like your place is next to the university, that can be 10 kilometers and can take you an hour to travel. So I got the recommendation online that, yeah, get a look first and experience it as it is. And then you can figure out what place suits you best. So eventually that's what I did. And I ended up being there in the rainy morning and waiting for my host to reply on WeChat. I think I had WeChat already, which is pretty a must if you want to go to China. And yeah, so after some hours, I got the reply, I could go into my place and was taking a look around. I went to the subway station. She said, yeah, go there and take the exit 2. I didn't know that it was a subway station. I just went there and was looking around, and there was a number exit 2. So I was walking there for 1 kilometer underground and was thinking, wow, that's pretty amazing. They're having an underground way. So the way is under the street, and they just designed it that you can walk there without having the traffic. So as it turned out, this was just one exit of a super big subway station. A subway station was as big as the airport, the biggest airport in Germany. And I'm thinking, wow, what's going on? That's a subway station. So anyway, I went there, was walking around for 1 hour. And then usually I have a good sense of orientation, but this city is just so big and everywhere just big skyscrapers. So after 1 hour, I was really thinking, how do I get back? So I walked the complete way back I had still in mind. And during my time there, fast forward, later I recognized where I ended up after 1 hour is directly next to where I started. So I could have just walked there, but eventually I walked all the way back. So my hint on that place is, and on that part already, is get a good map and maybe find someone the first time who shows you around, that you're not getting lost completely. I've got never lost in any country I've ever been. besides this place in the beginning. So that's definitely a good hint. So, and the first 2 days or the first day I was also hungry, right? That's another thing. And it turns out to be pretty an experience and an adventure. I went to a mall and was looking for some food. And I mean, everything is written in Chinese. You're very lucky that you understand Chinese already. I didn't speak a word. I thought, thank you. So 谢谢 is pronounced shishi. I haven't had any idea how to do it. So eventually I was just looking on the pictures and found something, chicken and rice. And I was always negotiating with them that I don't want to have vegetables. So after some time, I even became the loyal customers. And when they saw me, they were already ordering Chiro Fan Mei Shizai. And eventually I got my favorite food. But in the beginning, this was my lifesaver. So I'm still having the chopsticks of this store with me when I'm traveling, because it's just an amazing memory. Everywhere where I am now, I can use the chopsticks of the store. Okay, so after the first week staying there, I was looking around for another place where to stay. And that place, by taking a look in some apartments, I decided to go in a shared apartment with 2 French guys. I haven't had good experiences with shared apartments, but those 2 guys seem to have similar interests like I have. They wanted to learn Chinese. They were sporty. They had a lifestyle I appreciated. So I said, okay, give it a try, because you're just here for 6 months. So eventually that was a very, very, very good decision for 2 reasons. Even though I'm the guy who usually likes to stay alone, to have his structure and do the things he wants to do, I haven't had to sacrifice anything of my good routines and my habits, so I could do my stuff with the right people with a similar mindset. The second good point was I could share costs. We had a big apartment and it cost 15,000 yuan, and we just shared it divided by 3. So eventually I ended up having a nicer place, cheaper than I would have had alone. The third thing is you have people, I said, likewise you, like-minded you, and as they are also just there for an experiences for 1 semester, or maybe if you're going there longer, eventually they come from another country and want to have an experience. So you can share quite amazing time together. You can go out together, you can have parties, and that's very recommendable because you connect with people, you have a lot of fun, and you get to know the area, the culture, and you just have a great time. What I definitely recommend you is not going on the campus for a dormitory. I was thinking about that, but I swiped out this thought immediately, because eventually, if you're in the dormitory on the campus, where is your life going to happen? Probably in the dormitory on the campus. But if you want to go to another country like China, here, Danilo, sorry, not sure if I pronounce your name correctly. You're even having a background of Beijing. If you want to live in Beijing, for example, I mean, you want to live in Beijing, right? You want to get the experience of Beijing, not the experience of a campus in Beijing. And that's the thing. After COVID broke out, for example, I was back in Germany. Some friends still stayed in China in the dormitory, and they were even not allowed to leave the campus for half a year. So basically their life was literally the campus in China, had nothing to do with Chinese life, right? Just the campus life. So that was also the same when it comes to parties. Eventually, if you're staying in the dormitory, in the campus, yeah, as I said, you have the dormitory life. I highly recommend go out. It might frighten you a bit. That's why it is recommendable that you partner up with some other people in your university. My approach when I'm going to another country, as I said, book first for 1 week an Airbnb or so, get to know the environment and get to know people. And after you got to know the people and got to know the environment, try to find the perfect place for you outside where you can experience the most without sacrificing that you can't participate in the lectures. So in my case, I traveled 20-30 minutes in the morning to the university. It was absolutely worth it because as a foreign student, you don't have to learn that much anyway there. Yeah, so what I did else, of course, I traveled, and I highly recommend this to you. I traveled to Beijing. As I mentioned, I was in Shanghai, so went to Beijing, got to know this city, went to the Great Wall. I think that's cliche, that's a must, but definitely worth it. And went to some other cities like Suzhou, close to Shanghai. I didn't travel much more because I intended to move back before COVID broke out. But yeah, eventually I'm gonna go there again. But during your study time, it's worth it to put some money aside that you can use for exploring the country. So for my case, I just, every time I took money from the bank account, I took immediately, when I got the money, I don't know, 1,000 yuan by side, and didn't touch it. And I said, after I studied, I'm still having some time left, I'm going on a holiday. And that's what I did. I took all the money after 5 months, had quite some money, and didn't touch, I didn't even miss it, and could travel. That's just a saving tip from my side. That worked well for me. Yeah, so I wanted to learn Chinese, and everyone, literally everyone, even a retired couple there, was giving me the advice, get a Chinese girlfriend. She's going to teach you Chinese. Somehow I ended up having a Chinese girlfriend, but she didn't want to teach me Chinese. So if you want to really learn Chinese and want to practice, then find someone who doesn't speak your language or doesn't speak English well enough. Then you have to communicate. In my case, we could perfectly communicate it in English, so there was no need to speak Chinese. Nevertheless, it was very interesting having a Chinese partner, because you get to know the culture completely different. Besides getting some better club entries and knowing what's going on, you eventually also experience the different food recommendations. You see how the real Chinese life is going on. I experienced it firsthand with her, how it is when she comes from home, when she comes from work, going with her to work or picking her up there, going to some local places, etc. This is very interesting, and an experience a lot of my friends missed out because they were only surrounded by foreigners. I mean, yes, as I mentioned, it has some benefits to be surrounded by foreigners. They have a similar excitement about what they're doing. But on the other hand, you miss the local experiences if you just surround yourself with foreigners. Even worse if you just surround yourself with the people from your own country. I avoided really hard to be surrounded by Germans, because I mean, I don't travel 8,000 kilometers to just be surrounded by Germans again. And maybe you want to do the same with Ukrainians. French people, they have a different approach. They surround themselves with French people, but eventually, yeah, that's my approach, and I can recommend it. Yeah, so after having these experiences, and yes, I also studied. The study time wasn't that hard for me. I was used to a German curriculum, which was pretty tough in a master's degree, and then went there, and it's an international program, so they have to find a middle way regards the difficulty that every person from any country with any educational background can actually hold up. So we were together with African students, with French students, with whatever students, and everyone had a different experience before about how to study, how hard is studying. So eventually, studying in the one Chinese university, the curriculum we had was absolutely doable. So eventually, if you stay still focused and say you get a task, do the task immediately, do it as good as possible, but don't waste more time, and don't wait till the end. You have to hand in your paper or so. I handed in my paper after 1 day, even though I had 4 weeks time, and I had 4 weeks then holiday, while others handed in the last day and were bothered 4 weeks. I will still have to do that. That's my recommendation. I really was not learning more than 1 hour a day maximum. I think it was more like 3 hours a week. And yeah, I graduated from China with 3.A GPA, so 3.8. So pretty much the best grade you can get, and it's not too difficult. Besides that, yeah, great experience with people. And when I came back, no, before I came back, I went to Thailand for a holiday, and then I went to Hong Kong. That's another thing. If you're having a Chinese partner, I got invited and I had the honor to celebrate Chinese New Year in Hong Kong. So with the locals and getting this experience, yeah, if you're on holiday, you most likely don't get this experience, because Chinese New Year is so much more than just all the lanterns you're seeing. Chinese New Year is this family fest. And yeah, you get to know the experience if you are involved in a family. So maybe you want to look for a partner as well when there. So eventually I had this experience, and then I flew back to Germany. And I want to include this part of this journey, even though it's not China anymore, because it was like a slap in your face. I mean, Germany is considered as a developed country, but when I landed in Germany, I felt like I'm having done a time travel back in past for 200 years, because China is so developed. Even homeless people sitting there with a QR code and receiving money from you via WeChat. And I had an experience in the beginning of Shanghai. I went to the gym and forgot my water and wanted to get a water out of the ATM, and they didn't accept cash, only WeChat Pay. And basically you do everything with WeChat, and everything is digital. If you want to order food in the restaurant, you scan the QR code, branded in the table to order. And then you're coming back to Germany and you have to get a physical printed ticket for the train. And it really felt like you're traveling back in time. So what I can tell, most likely, that the time in China will change your perspective drastically. Not just your perspective for how you see life. For me, I saw, we in Europe, for example, we are really like me, ego-driven. In China, it doesn't care. It doesn't matter who is you. It's about we, it's us. And you have such a strong involved feeling. Everywhere where I went in China, I got welcomed with, welcome to China. I mean, what individual in the Western world would welcome you in the name of the country? I never had this before. And this was very different. I got to know a different mindset, and it was one of the greatest times. And besides this mindset, it will also change your perspective of developing countries and developed countries, and also of your country when you're coming back and seeing how life is in different places and how life could be. And if people are a little bit more open to technology, for example. So to summarize this, I definitely can tell it will change your perspective for life and for your country, and probably for your future. So before I'm going to conclude this impromptu speech with 3 major learnings I got out of it that I hope you can benefit from, I actually made a personal video review of my year back then, and China was one part of it. I just was filming during the time and was reflecting it and made a voiceover, and we're editing it together. And this is interesting, so I can just share that with you. Please give me a feedback if you can hear it. Chin, could you please allow me to share my screen?
Wait a second, I will change you to host, okay? So you can, yeah, now you can do it. Now you can do it.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a feedback if you can hear it properly.
Yeah, we can hear it. Yes, we hear.
4 minutes.
Yes, we can hear it properly. It's fine.
Over my shoulder like the sun. A culture I always felt somehow it's an open door. Attracted, and now I'm here. Off my line of sight and realize that it is so different from everything I thought I knew about it. A place so diverse, so strongly united and yet still local. So modern, but full of traditions. a place which was supposed to become my new home. I had to get to know this country from scratch and openly immerse myself in this culture. And this shall become quite an interesting journey. When I arrived to this country, I was alone. Though interesting, it was also challenging. But it didn't take a long time for people to gradually join me. People I now call my friends, the kind who always support me and with whom I shared my interests, ambitions, and best times. And besides interesting lectures I attended, I even had the honor to be invited to give my own, to share knowledge and personal experiences with incredible grateful people in Shanghai. I personally learned a lot from the people, the culture, and the country. My time here changed something in me, and therefore China will probably always be a part of me.
I hope this was a bit inspiring and gave you some impression of how China can be. For me, it was an amazing time. And if I have the opportunity to go there again, I mean, my story went basically on afterwards trying to get there again, but COVID. I would definitely go there again, and I hope for you strongly that you can go there and you have the opportunity to do so. So to conclude, I would summarize it with the three most important points I recommend you when you're going there. The first point I was writing down for myself is learn enough Chinese that you can order your favorite food, but that shouldn't be an issue for you. But beyond that, that you find a house off campus and maybe partner up with some people. It's cheaper, it's more fun at the time. The second thing, use the time to build connections. So embrace really the lifestyle and dive into the culture. If you really just stay by yourself with your previous mindset and not opening up and surround yourself with the same people who are in other countries anyway, I have the feeling you would probably miss out something. By opening up and really embracing the culture and saying, let me dive into it, let's be open. This gives a different experiences. Yes. And the third thing, I think I don't have to mention it, but I make it to be sure, enjoy your time. enjoy your time there, travel around, use the time. If you say I'm having financial, I don't know, find a way to save something, but don't miss out this time of really enjoying it, getting to know the environment, and just, yeah, this, in the end of your life, you're gonna look back and this is a memory. If you saved money or if you studied or whatever, but if you missed out experiences, you're gonna regret it. And that's what it is about, to avoid. Okay, that's from my side. And if you have any questions, let's just have for 5 or 10 minutes more an open conversation. You can ask me anything.
Yes, can I ask a question? When you went to China, what did you take an HSK examination? And if you did, which one was it? 4 or
No,
5?
I did not. No, no. I think my HSK level right now is between 2 or 3. I never made a test, but when I traveled to China, I had, as I said, didn't speak a word. So yeah,
Okay.
I studied in English, so it wasn't an issue.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. There was another hand, but the screen disappeared.
It's me. So you told us that you managed to find those French guys, yes, share students, yeah. But how exactly did you manage to do that? Is there any way that foreigners, have contact each other and group themselves when they're in China, and those channels for people who are newcomers, to find, for example, those exchange students who are staying there for more time than you, to share experiences.
So
people with closer mindset.
I can tell you how I made it, how I did it, but also what opportunities you have alternatively. So in my case, I really just went there by myself. And then when the first introduction event was in the university, you got to know people actually. So somehow you don't be shy. I never had an issue with, when I was a child and young teenager, but I learned pretty early in life then that I'm not shy when I'm connecting to people. So I was just talking to them. And actually, if you're not that person, at least don't appear like that you don't want to talk with people. If you're having a smile on your lips, people start talking to you. So eventually people were starting talking to me, and I was then talking to others and was trying to get the connection. And I was letting them know that I'm looking for places. And some people were that friendly and said, hey, I got to know 2 other guys of our exchange year who are also looking for a place. Reach out to them. So I got the contact and I could connect with them. And I was just calling them and said, I'm looking for a place you wanna meet. And so that's what we did. And actually, I had 5 minutes time to get to know them, and then I said, it sounds good, we're gonna go for that. So that was my way in the introduction event, that you got to know people initially. The other way is definitely, and it's actually always involved in anything you do in China, you're having your WeChat account. So eventually there are groups like Students Exchange China. There are for sure 1,000 groups you could fit in, and just go into these groups and talk to the people. Just pick, I don't know, did you use WeChat already? Yeah. So if you open it and you are in a group, just click on the people, send them a message and said, hey, I'm looking for a place as well, or I'm looking for a place, I'm new here. Or you just say, I'm new here, you want to connect. And then you say, you're probably new here as well. Well, if another person is new as well, don't be shy. Most likely the person is in the same situation as you are, with the same fears and the same interests. So you can just say, let's go for a coffee. I don't know where to go, but I saw a store, just go there and connect with people. Yeah. That's how you get to know them.
Yeah, thanks.
Welcome.
I have one more question that I would like to ask you. Did you manage to find a job while you're studying in China? Or how do you think, is there a lot of possibilities, a lot of chances, a lot of opportunities for international students to find a job while they're studying in China?
I think it depends on how long you're gonna stay there. For me, I had a half a year visa, so I think I wasn't even allowed to work. But you get a work permit, I think, pretty easy after you found a job and they want to hire you. So I went on a job fair and was just looking around. I was not interested in working because I built my company in Germany and I didn't want to work for half a year. But I just went there for interest to get to know the Chinese market and the opportunities. And eventually a person came to me and approached me if I want to teach there. So they needed a lecturer and talked to me. So I could do that and it wasn't an issue. I was indeed reaching out to another company about working with them, but yeah, I think back then my sales skills weren't good enough that they were interested. So, but I heard about some people who got a good job there or who stayed there in the field of they want to work. I'm really not the guy who is employed. I somehow I just do my own thing and it works well with my companies. But yeah, I heard from some guys who started working there. Me actually, when I came back to Germany and wanted desperately to go to China again, and I recognized you can't enter it because of COVID, you need a company to work with. I actually applied for some companies. And of course, during COVID, they couldn't bring you in. So most companies declined, even though I had a good presentation, I had good background. But eventually I found a company and they even hired me. So I could work remotely with them and they tried to bring me to China for half a year or so. And yeah, to answer your question, you can find a job during your study time. It's definitely possible. And you can find a good job afterwards. In that case, for example, I'm giving sometimes courses about self-promotion and self-marketing. In that case, I highly recommend it when it comes to China in particular, to finding your good positioning. So what profiles you? Why are you specialized? Because if they have to justify it somehow, I mean, if they can hire a foreigner, right? What does it qualify? How are you qualified that they take you over a Chinese person? They have 1.4 billion people there. So you have to have some skills they don't have or they can't find. And one of those obvious skills is, yeah, I'm seeing the faces. People are, what can I be better than Chinese? You always see this gifted kids, and of course they are all Chinese, but eventually you are a foreigner. So your perspective is already different. Your foreign way of thinking is already different and they appreciate it. China is therefore that developed because they are learning from foreigners. Now they are ahead of us. But in the beginning, China was going to other countries and was seeing how they did it and was copying it and learning from it and made it better afterwards. So they know what it means to learn. And if you have a different mindset, that's something they lack, obviously. And in order to develop, you need to get different inputs. So position yourself. It's my recommendation, in particular, in general, but when it comes to China, I particularly recommend position yourself and find your strength as with everything it is. For example, I mean, I'm German, so I'm the last guy who is allowed to make racist jokes or so. So that's the thing, that when I went abroad and traveled more, I recognized being white is a value. I said, what the heck? Something is wrong here internationally. But eventually, I can just say now in Thailand, I'm German. And they see, great, we hire you. And yeah, that's a strength. Take it. Don't question it. Say, okay, maybe it's not correct, but well, it's a strength. They see it differently. I say, I'm white. They like white colored people because they consider white as beautiful or whatever. So don't question it. Don't be, oh, I'm so flattered. Just take it as an advantage and say, I'm a white German. You're a man, maybe you're a woman or whatever. Take it as both have strengths and weaknesses. Play with your strength and position yourself with it. You smile. People feel nice when they are with you in the same room. That's an advantage. If you make people a good feeling, if you give people a good feeling, sell it and say, I'm the white German guy who makes you smile. Here you have it. Yeah, I know how it sounds, but actually that's some learnings I had. Use everything you have and position yourself with things they don't have naturally. It helps.
Thank you for your detailed answer.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah,
okay.
if you don't mind, I'll ask questions too.
Sure.
I'm sorry if you answered some kind of the question like that already, because I was 15 minutes late, so sorry for that. You are from a European country like Germany, as far as I got, and you obviously also have some stereotypes about the Chinese people, the way China is. Maybe like you also, some people there see China as an evil country, something this way, not a democratic one. So what were some stereotypes that were broken while you were in China? What's things that were different from what you expected?
So first of all, as I recommended to you, be open when you enter another country, embrace it. And I was really open. I said, no matter what it is, I don't give a meaning to it. I'm not interpreting it as good or bad. I'm just seeing it as it is and learning from it. There is some background. So that's the first thing. I haven't had the stereotype or the thinking that China is bad, Communist Party, etc. Maybe because I was too uneducated what it means. But everyone was telling me, there was one thing, everyone was telling me that Chinese people eat dogs. So I went to every girl I was dating and every person I got to know, do you eat dogs? And everyone was saying, oh no, they are cute. Except of one girl, she was saying, oh no, they smell horrible. I said, okay, that's the only reason you don't eat that. I get it. No, so eventually they don't eat dogs. The other thing, Chinese indeed, I mean, my name is Christian, so there is an R involved. The German pronunciation is Christian. And Chinese people indeed, oh, you can make, no, I'm not talking to Chin now, that would be not fair. But eventually everyone was calling me indeed Glistian. So with an L instead of an R. That's a stereotype that got confirmed. Yeah, as I said, I haven't had a lot of bias when I went there, but what I recognized over the time there, that indeed a lot of people don't have really an independent thinking. That's something I recognized, that a lot of people have a very low self-confidence and self-esteem. And that's, yeah, so I tried to change something with my lectures there, that they got more self-esteem and self-confidence, but most people, so mainland Chinese, I'm not talking about Hong Kongese, I'm talking about mainland Chinese, they have a low self-esteem. A lot of people, you have the feeling that they, how old are you? May I ask? Now, for example, you asked me the question, Anna.
21.
21. So I think you're coming from a European country with 21, you're having quite some experience. You probably did something else besides going to school. You probably had friends. You probably tried some hobbies. You probably were doing some things. And in China, a lot of people actually have missed this completely out. I was talking to some people, they said, yeah, I was, in the beginning, really getting to know the culture. I was dating a girl and she told me she doesn't have another guy in her life. I said, yeah, okay, I hope so, but what does it mean with you don't have contact with other guys? No male friends, nothing. And she said, no, never had contact with another guy. I said, what do you mean with never? And she said, yeah, I have my cousins. They are 9 years old. I said, okay, they don't count. So what do you mean with never? And she explained to me when she went to school, she was in the front with the girls and in the back were the guys. They never talked. When she graduated school, she still didn't talk to a guy yet. And then she went to university and had her dormitory just for girls. So at the entrance of the dormitory, guys were stopped. They can't go there. So she literally haven't had any experience with a guy. Something what you probably have in a certain degree, at least, that you talk to someone, you're talking to me. So that's something that was really, wow, that's a lack of experience. Other things, what you take for granted, that you can swim. I met during my time in China, not a single person who can swim. They never learned it. We learn it in school. I don't know about you in Ukraine, but this is a normal thing. They can't swim. Quite some people from Hong Kong, they can't ride a bike, something what we take for granted. And this is, nice cat, this is eventually, you have to be open for that. What I always recommend, and that's my mindset meanwhile, don't judge it, because there are reasons why it is. In Hong Kong, the streets are so tight that the government said you're not allowed to ride a bike. At least that's what I got told. So if you grow up in Hong Kong, of course, you're not riding a bike, right? If you're living in a big city with 27 million people and no swimming pool, why is there a need of learning swimming? In Germany, they say learn it as a child, because when you go to the lake, you shouldn't drown. Understanding the background, and then you're getting to know quite some interesting experiences, and you get to know your own stereotypes in your mind over the time.
Okay, thanks. That was very interesting, honestly.
My pleasure. Yeah. So if no one has questions anymore, let's see if I'm giving another speech in Ukraine in your university. Actually, I'm giving currently quite frequently speeches worldwide about finding your life direction, building up sustainable habits that keep you running, and also how to promote yourself that you get the job you want to get. And it's pretty interesting, and universities love it. It's a coincidence that Chin just asked me to give a speech tonight. But yeah, maybe we see us again then in another course, in another keynote. Yeah, Chin, you have another question.
Yeah, can you tell Ukrainian people if Hong Kong or China, these two places, which one you suggest them to go to work or have a life? This is first question. And second, thank you for your speaking. And after you answer my question, can you maybe share your email to everyone? Thank you. If they have questions, they can email to you. And the third one, when you finish everything, can you change the host to me so I can keep to conversation with everyone? Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. So the first one, what do I recommend to go to Hong Kong or China for studying or work? To mainland China, you mean? Yeah. So I'm not sure if I'm qualified to give a proper answer to that, because it's different. I mean, I had my experiences being in Shanghai, but even Shanghai is not representative for China, for mainland China. Shanghai has its own vibe and its own lifestyle. Well, when I was in Hong Kong, I was there for a holiday, even though I was involved in the culture through my girlfriend or my ex-girlfriend. But during that time already, there were the protests. So Hong Kong wasn't as it was before. I don't know about how it is right now and how this will be in a year when they open the borders again, maybe in a year. So I think if you want to have an intercultural, if you want to build up an intercultural and international career, mainland China is suitable for certain cities, Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, etc. If you want to have the more international lifestyle, then Hong Kong it is. Hong Kong is completely, it's like London. When I was in Hong Kong, I felt like I'm in London. I'm just with a little bit of Chinese flair. So I really can't give a proper qualified answer to that. What is the right thing? I think you have to do some research, and eventually both offer a good opportunity, but it comes down where you feel comfortable the most, I think, because you never perform well in an area you're not feeling comfortable. And if you say for me, I didn't feel that comfortable in Hong Kong back then. I mean, I'm changing also. Maybe in 2 years I'm playing Hong Kong is my thing. But back then I didn't feel, and I said Shanghai is just their city for me. So you have to get an experience, and you can take a look first. What attracts you the most? The second question was a thank you, right? I'm going to share my email address. Yeah. And I'm also having a website where I'm offering some courses, and currently also, yeah, I'm giving a mentorship sometimes. I don't know if you have ever heard about what a mentorship is. Can recommend it, give some Google. I'm still having 1 seat left for this year. I'm just doing it for giving something back. That's for free. So if you're interested, you can check this out. And yes, I'm going to hand over the how's it called? The administration back to you. What is your name, Jin? Because it's written in letters I can't read.
Yeah, I'm speaking now. You can find me. Yes, check someone speaking.
That's smart. That's smart. Make host. Okay.
Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. And students or someone who are interested about Germany university or Germany culture can not hesitate to contact you. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, then it's my turn to say thank you. Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for your interest and listening so properly. It's my pure pleasure. If you want to check out this video, by the way, again, I can share the link. It's a little bit longer. There's also my journey before in Vietnam, if you're interested in Thailand afterwards, and Hong Kong is also mentioned. So maybe if you're going in the same direction in Asia, it might be interesting. Thank you, and hope to see you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.